Yeah, maybe a hunk, but he has a dad bod. Yes, folks, dad bods are the new hunk heartthrobs. Welcome back to KDOI Podcasting, where we create more than we consume. I'm the head instigator here, Timothy Chemo Bryan, and today we'll be finding our needle in the haystack. This is our found object sculpture project. Now, you may be saying to yourself, sculpture? I don't have any bronze laying around the house or clay. I don't have a furnace. I don't have a hunk of marble. Yeah, maybe a hunk, but he has a dad bod. Yes, folks, dad bods are the new hunk heartthrobs. You don't need a furnace or clay or bronze or a hunk of marble. You do need to let your creativity loose on this one and figure out where you can tear something apart and put it back together in a different way. Michelangelo said it best when he said that he didn't make the sculpture. The sculpture was already in the marble. He was just chipping the excess away and letting the sculpture loose. Loosely translated, that's what it means from my understanding of Greek and Latin. And I think he might have spoken one or both of those languages. Who knows? So, I have a story behind this project. And I would like to hear and share your stories with these projects. Whether you think you're successful or not, drop me a line, shoot me an email, kdoipodcasting@gmail.com. Hit us up on the Twitter at KDOI_podcasting. You can get us on Instagram at KDOI_podcasting. See, I make it simple for you. And our Facebook page, capital T, capital K, capital BRIEN 72. We want to hear about what you're doing, and we'd like to share it with other listeners who are sitting actually right next to you. Yeah, the person that's sitting next to you is also listening to this podcast. Tap on the shoulder, find out. So the story for this episode, about 6 years ago, I went on my first trip to Paris. Yes, France, not Paris, Texas, Paris, France. Big difference. Accents are a little bit different too. Now, it'd been a long time since I've been out of the country, and this is my first trip as a veteran. Now, I had a great tour guide, and he gave me a ton of spots to visit. And I actually did some research ahead of time, and I looked at a sculpture that I had in my room from Mombasa, Kenya, that I got back in 1993. And that's when I was supporting a humanitarian mission in Somalia when I was in the Air Force. So we had these merchants walk the beach all the time. You couldn't get away from them. They just glommed onto you because you were an American, you had money. So this merchant on the beach walks up to me, and he sold me what he called was the Ethiopian Thinking Man, which is basically a sandstone knockoff of Rodin's Thinking Man. And I've had this thing since 1993. So I've had it for a minute, okay? It's come with me on too many moves, and I'm kind of surprised that it hasn't been busted yet. But, such is life, which I'm happy that it hasn't been. Don't come into my house and break my statue, please. So I looked this up, and, before I went on my trip, I looked up Rodin. I looked up the Thinking Man. I didn't even know it was done by Rodin. Looked it up, found the Rodin Museum, and immediately knew that's one place I had to go visit. So when I got to my tour guide, I brought him about 5 things that I wanted to do, and he helped me plan out my whole trip there and get on the metro and all that good stuff. So once I got to the museum, I got to say I was awestruck. It's one of those things you got to go see. Eiffel Tower is there. Catacombs, love the catacombs, but you need to go see the Rodin Museum. Most of it is on the outside. It's surrounded by a beautiful garden. So you walk around the garden and you see these statues just all over the place. And there's a certain area that there's a big grouping of the statues. And you just walk all over this place, and these statues, they kind of pop out of nowhere. Now, keep in mind, it was December when I went, so there wasn't a whole lot of tourists there. There wasn't a lot of people out there in the garden and in the museum. Now, there's an indoor museum, too. It's a lot smaller, and it's got the gift store, which, definitely go to the gift store and grab some stuff and waste some money, but the outside museum, quote unquote museum, that's where it's at. The pieces had movement and emotion. I saw a full-sized version of Gates of Hell, and that just absolutely floored me. The amount of detail. You could stare at that thing for like 10 hours and still not get everything in there. There's another statue. It's a thing of three men, and they were just portrayed in agony. And I tell you, I could feel their pain. Not in the Bill Clinton kind of way, but the emotion that crossed over the years and the surfaces, from the surface of the sculpture right into me. Yeah, I tell you right now, folks, I lost it. I wept. I was blubbering like a baby. So I'm standing there crying over these sculptures. An older woman who spoke no English, just put her arm around me. And after a few minutes, I stopped crying. And all right, she left as quickly as she came. And so then, that's when I started to learn to appreciate sculpture and tried to learn a little bit more about Rodin. And I'm not talking Rodin, the Japanese mutant creature that fights Godzilla sometimes. Just go check out Rodin, Rodan, and check out his stuff. He's not a sponsor of the show, and the Rodin Museum is not a sponsor of this show. But maybe they will be someday. I'll give them a call. Anyone speak French out there? So now you know how we got here. Okay, I haven't done sculpture in the past at all. But what I have a tendency to take things apart and put them back together, and sometimes I put them back together the right way. Most times I do. I've got a knack for that. So for this project, I thought, well, let's tear something apart and not put it back together the same way. So my original idea for this episode, because I had some trees fall down due to a recent storm. And I thought, oh, you know what? I could, slice those up and make something out of that. And I still might. The trees are still in my yard. I still need to slice them up. They're, getting grass growing over them. But when that storm hit, something happened to our deadbolt in our front door, and it just broke. So, being the handyman that I am, I went ahead and took out the old one, the old deadbolt, and put in a new one. And then I called a locksmith and had him fix the mistake that I made. So, as it happens, I told the locksmith I wanted the parts because he was going to take them and I think he was going to recycle them. But he just kind of looked at me odd and let me have it. And I did. And that's the project you are going to see here today. Now, I want to make sure that, you get to see all the pictures for that. So make sure that you're on the website, kdoipodcasting.com, and check it out for yourself. Here's going to be your materials list. Now, this is what I did. This is the project that I did. You can do you're obviously free to do whatever you want. I'm not going to come over to your house and go, no, you can't make your sculpture out of that. Unless you really want me to, then I'll pop on over. But you got to email me to let me know where I'm going, because I can't just come, through the microphone here and through the internet and look at you. I can talk in your ear and tickle your brain, but that's about it. But here's your materials list if you want to use a deadbolt. So first thing you need is an old busted deadbolt. Or hey, you know what? Get a new one. They only cost $30. Grab some super glue. I would recommend getting some pliers to bend some metal and to hold things when you're gluing them. I'm going to let you go ahead and get your supplies together, and we're going to listen to our GagglePod promo. And then we'll be right back and get into this project. Hey, this is Timothy Kimo O'Brien, head instigator at KDOI Podcasting. We create more than we consume every other week, and we want to create with you. So check us out on our website, kdoipodcasting.com. Email is at kdoipodcasting@gmail.com, and the Twitter is at KDOI_podcasting. I want to thank you for the download that you just did, for the subscription that you just made, and for sharing this podcast with your friends. So thank you for creating more than you consume with us here at KDOI Podcasting. KDOI is a proud member of the GagglePod Network. GagglePod, a place for storytellers that need a strategy, a platform, and a chance to be heard. Learn how to create your next podcast at gagglepod.com. All right, thanks for taking a listen to that promo. And remember, GagglePod is our network sponsor. Kyle and I just got back from MapCon, Mid-Atlantic Podcasting Convention in New Jersey, and we had a great time with some very positive people who also happen to love podcasting. About 100 of us got together and for 2 days, and let me tell you, it was magical. It got my podcasting juices, flowing like you wouldn't believe. All right, so let's take a look at the pictures here, folks. As you see, I've got some screws, a cylinder, the latch, and a few housings, the key shaft. Now, here's the thing. I'm not a locksmith, and I'm not 100% sure that I'm using the correct names for all these items that you see. And, you make sure that you're on the website so that way you can see all these pictures for yourself too. And you can get all the old episodes there as well. So if you're really digging this episode, check out the other episodes. You're catching us at a good time. We're in season number 2, and this is episode number 10 or 12. No, it's actually, I'm sorry, it's number 12 in this season. So we're getting close to the end of the season, but check out the first season where we do a lot of interviews. My first step, and you can see that in the first picture there, is to put all the parts on in the workspace. I turned on the TV and watched a movie called Hard Candy. Yeah, it's a movie about a young girl who tortures a child molester. It's a really great Saturday night movie to watch with your wife. Yeah, okay, maybe not. It was her idea. It was her idea, not mine. I really believe in letting my mind wander when I'm trying to get started on something and letting inspiration take me wherever it wants. So that way I can be open to it. Now, I know that sounds a little bit hippy-dippy, but, it works for me. And whatever you need to do to open yourself up, to let inspiration feel free to go ahead and do that. Leave your pants on, okay? You can take your pants off, but, have some boxer briefs on, okay? So in case I come over and you're doing something, you're covered, okay? Leave the boxer briefs on. You can take the pants off. That's fine. So my first step was to think about the base. I want to make sure that I got something solid to put everything else on. So I took the faceplate or strike plate, whatever you want to call it, out, and put those underneath the housing for the deadlock. And this is the housing that goes on the outside of your door. So it gets really weather beaten. And I didn't want to hide that, but it did make a fantastic base for me. And I just wanted to make sure that it was nice and level. So that's why I put those strike plates there. And then I looked around. I said, hey, I got these screws. I got to do something with the screws. They need a home. And you know what? The screws in the faceplate fit nicely because that's where they're supposed to go, kids. That's normally where they go. That's where you put them. You put the faceplate on the wall, or not on the wall, on the door jamb there. And you put the screws in, and that's how you hold that in there. So, of course, it fits nicely in place. Next, I needed something in the center. So I took the center shaft because it's got a nice pull in there. And it fit right in that housing. Naturally it should because it fit the other way, so it fit this way. Now, on top of that, I took the latch and I fit that on there because it had a nice smooth spot, flat spot there. And I then went ahead and extended the deadbolt itself, the actual deadbolt housing, put that right on the latch there. And you can see this in the second picture there pretty well. That's my dry fit with no glue on it. So I put the extended out the deadbolt, put another faceplate on it, and I took the bottle cap from my kombucha tea and put that on the end of the deadbolt. Now again, this is without glue at this point. Right? Haven't put any glue on it. And I went ahead and took a picture of it. And I was like, wait, I've still got that one little piece in the back. I got to do something with that. So if you take a look at the fourth picture there, where you can see it coming dead on at you, I took that round piece and I tossed it on the back. It made a great counterweight for the whole piece because if you're looking at it, you can see it's going to get a little tipsy unless you put something on the back end there to counterbalance the weight, to give some weight to the tail end. It's kind of like if you're in the Midwest and you put some sandbags in the back of your car to help you out in the snow and the ice. That's what I was doing here. Now, if you're in the South or you're in a place that doesn't know about snow and ice, which is, the South, Texas, Georgia, Florida, all that good stuff, you don't know about this trick. When it snows, when it gets icy, Put, like 100, 150 pounds of sand in the back of your car, and you'll be good. If you're in Florida, you got sand all over the place. Go to the beach, grab some sand, dump it in your car. You're good to go. Now, once you've got it dry fit, take a picture of it, and then you're going to need to, when you're all the way done with it, you're going to need to take it apart, and then you need to put the glue on. Now, since I was using super glue, be careful with that stuff. I mean, you won't have fingerprints after you're done, which could be a good thing for some of you out there listening. Because if I remember right, I got an email that says one of you is a bank robber. It could be the guy next to you listening to podcasts. You might want to double check his pockets and see if he's got extra cash. Just double check. But what you're going to do is, take a picture, tear it all apart, and then glue it back together. Start with the base, and then work your way back to what you got when you're all the way done and took that picture. So let's go ahead and take another quick moment here, and we're going to listen to Gray Heroes. Gray Heroes is coming out real soon here, so I definitely want you to take a gander at that when that pops out, and enjoy those stories that are going to be coming out from Gray Heroes. Do you like your heroes with little more than 2 dimensions? How about some dirt underneath their fingernails? Tired of heroes in tights and white hats? Come on over to Gray Heroes, where no one gets out clean. Stories about people. People who play by their own rules. Take a listen at grayheroes.com and put those pretty flyboys in capes and tights to bed. Gray Heroes, just a hair over on this side of the law. Gray Heroes, no one gets out clean. New stories every 2 weeks at grayheroes.com. Subscribe today. Hey, thanks for listening to that sneak peek. I'm excited to exercise that creative muscle. Don't worry, KDOI is not going anywhere. Lessons learned on this one. First lesson, make sure you got pliers to hold pieces together and when they're drying, especially when they're drying. You may need to bend something. I'm working with a lot of metal here. Some of it's heavy metal. Not Ozzy Osbourne heavy metal, not Limp Bizkit, not Led Zeppelin heavy metal. Is Limp Bizkit even heavy metal? I don't know. Write in, let me know. If you think it's heavy metal, talk to me. Let me know about that. But no, use those pliers, and that way it's an extra set of hands. Hold on to stuff. Hold on. I'm coming. If you can name that song, shoot me an email and let me know. You might even win a sculpture from me. We'll work on that. We'll work on that. But anyhow, make sure you get a pair of pliers. Number 2, don't watch scary films or violent films. These things get into your head. And, when I heard gunshots and hard candy, that's when I got the idea. I'm going to make this into a cannon kind of thing. It kind of looks like a cannon or a gun. So, be careful where you're getting your inspiration from, okay? Yeah, you may not want to watch anything that has a lot of psychedelica in it, all right? Otherwise, you might hurt yourself. All right, the third thing is you may want to go ahead and grab a base for this, so that way you can put it up on your office, up on your mantle, something like that. A nice, plywood base or wood base. I think what's actually going to happen with me is I'm going to take some of that wood that came down in my yard and shave it into nice discs, and then screw and glue this in there. So I'll probably take some screws and just pop that on in there and make sure everything's nice and tight and into a big old hunk of wood. And that'll look nice. It'll look like a finished piece of work there for yourself. Now for me, this one is going to go straight to my desk, and I know it's going to be a conversation starter. And I'd like you to take a picture of what you did. And, open up your mind and don't judge what you create until after you created it. And then, if you don't like it, give it as a gift. What does it cost you? This thing, if you got a deadbolt lying around your house, boom, it costs you nothing. If you want to go get a new one, $30. You're going to spend $30 on your person anyways. So make them something that they'll remember forever. Even if you think it's a piece of crap and it's ugly, give it to them. And, if they appreciate it, hey, there you go. If they don't, okay, so 2 people threw it out. No worries. So I want to thank you for listening in as we create more than we consume. Join in and let us know how your project turned out. That's half the fun here, folks. When you write in and shoot me a picture and say, hey, this is the story behind my project. You can email me at kdoipodcasting@gmail.com. The Twitter at KDOI_podcasting. Instagram's the same thing at KDOI_podcasting. I'm sensing a trend here. Oh, here comes the Facebook group. TKBRIEN. The T, the K, the B are all capitalized. 72, that's capitalized too. We'll see you in 2 weeks with our next project. Again, I want to thank you for listening in on this project, and create more than you consume. Have a great 2 weeks. Leave your pants on, okay? You can take your pants off, but, have some boxer briefs on, okay? So in case I come over and you're doing something, you're covered, okay? Leave the boxer briefs on. You can take the pants off. That's fine.